God. Right, we'll kick on. I am tired. Is anyone else tired? I feel like I've gone on, I've just gone poof. You know, when you eat your dinner and then you're like, oh, no, we need to wake up. Come on, wake up. So, few things. First things first. So I have literally just, well, not literally just, literally is right now, and it wasn't. It was about 25 minutes ago. We've launched another free challenge. This is, in all honesty, probably the last free challenge that we will do in 2026. If you have had anybody ask you how you've managed to do what you've done, or what fitness program are you following, or any of these things. Do you know what I mean? Anyone inquiring whatsoever that you think, you know what, they've mentioned it, or you've told them about me and they haven't come into the program, which probably means they've not, like, they've just been sat watching and they've not actually taken any action, but they might actually have sat watching for a little while. Again, send them the send them the post and just click forward and just say, look, this might be a bit of you. It might not be, but it might be. So you guys obviously get some free coaching for anyone who does decide to come into Strong Her as a result of, obviously, if they do the free challenge, then they come in. Or if they start the conversation and come in anyway, regardless of how anyone ends up inside of Strong Her, as long as I know, which usually becomes pretty obvious when I drop them in and you guys go, oh, this is my friend so and so. They always usually tell me as well. But this is just a good opportunity if you want to get yourself some free coaching. Like I said, I don't know if we'll do it again in 2026. So it's kind of the last mop up opportunity that we're going to take and try and do it that way. Coaching spaces will still be available after that, but like I said, we just won't be opening up another free challenge for fairly obvious reasons. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I know we want to shout out Cassie for being a motherfucking legend because she just crushed it. You know, when it just feels like somebody's just like sitting up, paying attention, doing the do. Absolutely amazing. Same for Karen. Absolutely smashed it with your swim at the weekend. Another second down, which is fucking shit hot. Also doing three pull-ups. I feel like you're on fire as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, when momentum builds and it's just like bang, bang, bang. That's where you want to get into that. And it kind of it moves past momentum. It just moves into discipline where you're just doing the do. But well done everyone for participating, taking part, and even the very honest check-ins as well. And again, I want to make that crystal fucking clear. Like, the more honest you can be with us, the better your journey will be. And I promise you, like Kat and I were talking about this morning, like, we're not here to judge anybody. You can literally say the most crazy thing to us, and I promise you, we'll have heard crazier. I promise you, we'll have heard the most extreme things that you, so you think, oh my God, I'm doing this thing. I'm so embarrassed by this. I can't possibly share this. If you do share it, I promise you, everything will start to turn around. And that's like the first step of actually getting the help and support that you need. But if we don't know about it and we're kind of going, and then we just start tinkering with the coaching and trying to see what things we can actually move in order to get you to where we want to get you to. But if we know the fucking thing, we can just dive straight into the thing and we don't have to like mess around with all the like peripheral shit. We can just get straight into it. So that's kind of a piece of advice there. Sorry, Angela, I'm just going to mute you. I think there might be a couple of you then. Sorry. You're all good. But yeah, so please do let us know. If there's anything that you're feeling like you need to share, get it off your chest. I promise that'll make you feel a million times better anyway. Right, let's talk about booze and caffeine. So let's do it in the chat. Right, put a one in the chat box if you drink alcohol at all. Like, and again, we're not here to judge, we're not here to, but do you ever have a tipple, ever like a bit of alcohol, a bit of glass of wine, a bit of a beer? Yeah, this is it. It's very normal. Very, very normal. So, I also used to drink, I mean, I used to drink too much. So during lockdown, a lot of you will have heard me say this before, but we got into a really dark place during lockdown because of a lot of things that were going on, a lot of things that were happening. things felt out of control. And what Thomas and I started to do essentially was drink every single night. And it became a complete norm for us to be like constantly having alcohol, waking up the next day, feeling shit. The next night you do it again and again and again and again. And I probably can't remember for the best part of 6 months whether there was ever really a day where we didn't turn to alcohol at the end of an evening. Now, we weren't by any stretch of the imagination alcoholics, but we were relying on it as a feel better factor, an escapism, a feeling of saying, you know what, I'm not going to deal with my problems head on. I'm going to bury my head in the sand and I'm just going to have wine instead because it's going to make me feel a lot better. And then we decided no. And we went cold turkey. It was like, we are not doing this anymore. It was cold turkey, not drinking. And now I'll be honest, it's incredibly rare that you will see me drink. I'm not against it. I'm not teetotal. I'm not somebody that would just never do it. I'm not, do you know what I mean? It's not a religious reason or anything like that. It's just now I just don't like doing that. I didn't like the path that it started to take me down. And it's really interesting because I do think in the UK we do have a culture of very highly accessible alcohol. So if you go to Dubai, so for instance, like Thomas and I got engaged in Dubai and like on a yacht basically, and they told Thomas that like we don't have a license, you can bring alcohol on, but only if you go and get it yourself. So we're like, right, cool, go and find some alcohol. Fuck, that was so hard to do. You have no idea how hard, unless you're in an all-inclusive hotel or anything like that. But getting alcohol for yourself felt like an incredibly impossible task. And basically, where they put it, it was like in the mall, but like in like kind of like the high food sections. If you think of somewhere like Meadowhall or the Trafford Centre, it's a bit like that. But you're talking this black curtain. So you go all around the food hall going, there's definitely no alcohol here. There's definitely not here. You had to pull back this curtain behind this cheese stall. You would never know it was there. And it's this a room, probably not even the size of this kitchen that I'm sat in now. Your options were so limited and it was absolutely crazy. You also have to fill out a form in order to be able to fill it in, which is linked to their government, and you have to display your ID. And you've got to go through all of these steps just to buy a bottle of champagne. You can imagine if we did that in this country, it would be very, very different, wouldn't it? We probably wouldn't be drinking that much. Same for Norway. We obviously do a lot of skiing in Norway, have family in Norway. Again, you can buy beer, really low percentage normal beer in the supermarket, but otherwise you have to go to specialist places in order to actually buy alcohol. Whereas here in the UK, any corner shop, any supermarket, pretty much anywhere that you want to be able to purchase it, you can get it from. So there is a big cultural shift that's happening at the minute though, where so if you look at like some of you guys have got teenagers coming up now, they seem to give a lot more of a shit about their health and fitness. They actually seem to have understood the kind of the future a little bit to be able to go, no, I don't love that. And often they're just not as into it. Probably want to do it when they're kind of, you know what, 14, 15, 16, because you feel like a rebel. But then they actually reach kind of 18 and go, I'm not that bothered by it. And there is a big shift taking place at the minute. But obviously, none of us in this program are kind of 18 to 20 years old, unfortunately. And one of the categories in my time as a coach that I've noticed where I think alcohol is impacted the highest is definitely more in the perimenopausal stages. I think for a few different reasons. I think for one, a lot of women kind of turn to it as a bit of respite because perimenopause is fucking challenging. Do you know what I mean? We've coached enough women to know all of the nuances, all of the difficult uphill battles that you guys are facing. Sometimes you want a fucking glass of wine, right? But I think the other part of that is a little bit more disposable income. And also, usually children have grown up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm aware I'm a little bit of the exception to the rule, having children as late as what I am. But a lot of people Your children are more likely to be early 20s, potentially off to uni, even moved out, got jobs. Do you know what I mean? They're finding their own feet. So you kind of go, right, we've got some fucking freedom back, guys. Let's go. Do you know, it's this feeling of being like, right, we've actually got a bit of time back. How do we want to utilize it? Right, let's go out with Jenny and Joe down the block. Let's do this. Let's do it. And it feels a little bit like that. And what we need to do, and again, I will never, strong her, it's never going to be a dictatorship. It is never going to be, you should not do this. You cannot do that. That is not what we are interested in coaching. What we want you guys to be able to do is make informed choices. Now, for context, alcohol is a toxin and a poison to the human body. Now, you might not love hearing that, but that is the truth. It's not a carbohydrate, it's not a fat, and it's not a protein source. It actually sits in its own category, but the human body wants to reject it. It does not love it. And the quickest way of knowing is this true, is this false, is if you just keep feeding a person alcohol, they will die of alcohol poisoning. That is do you know what I mean? If you just keep going and going and going and just putting it in really quickly in a short amount of time. Whereas if you think if you just ate potatoes for a long time, you're not really going to do a lot. Do you know what I mean? You might start to feel a bit sick of potatoes, but I don't think anyone died from a potato. You know, I'm sure someone will prove me wrong there, but this is what I'm talking about. In copious amounts, alcohol is dangerous. We're not talking about copious amounts, though, are we? We're talking about realistically maybe some wine, a bit of beer, a bit of gin, a bit of this, a bit of that. But when you are in your fat loss phase, so if you're coming into this program and your priority goal is to drop some body fat, that will stall when you have alcohol inside of your system. So if you're drinking maybe potentially every Friday night and every Saturday night, you will stop the fat burning process from taking place, because what happens is your body actually it prevents that from happening while it focuses all of its energy on getting the alcohol out of your liver. So it's really trying to ramp that process up to go, I can't do two things at once. It's clearly not a woman. Do you know what I mean? It's going, I need to park this while I prioritize doing this. And that is what your human body is going to be doing. Now, depending on the level of units that you're having, is the time in which that process can actually be stalled for. But it can be for up to kind of 3 days. And it's not that much alcohol in your system in order for it to stall for that long. It's not ideal. So if you're doing this every single weekend, you can soon see how you're getting, right, okay, this is potentially now making it a little bit more challenging. And I'm maybe not seeing the results that I wish to see. And by the way, it's still the case if you choose alcohol that even fits within your calorie allowance. It does not matter. It will still stop you from being in a calorie deficit. It will try and excrete the alcohol first, and then it will come back to it. Yes, don't get me wrong. It is still better to be in that calorie deficit. And let's say, for instance, you could go over by having a bottle of wine, or you could stay under by having a couple of gin and tonics, slimline tonics for 55 calories a pop. Do you know what I mean? That is better. It's still going to be better than throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Alcohol is also likely to impact your sleep. So again, if you're perimenopausal and your sleep is fucking garbage and you're drinking, you seriously need to consider, is this worth it? Is this worth losing the ability to have a good night's sleep? Even if you can fall asleep quickly, the alcohol in your system is still still likely to bring you awake a lot throughout the night. So it's going to prevent you from going into a nice, deep recovery sleep. It's also likely to bring up the snacking, the binging, the kind of behavioral habits where you go, oh, should we just get some greasy food? Do you know what I mean? It's that feeling of going, we paired this thing with this thing in our minds so often. And it's a little bit like when you probably were 18, 20 years old and you go out on a night out, you get hammered, and then you end up having a takeaway, don't you? Like you end up with cheesy chips or a doner kebab or whatever it might be at the end of the night. Then you wake up like a dry bum hole in your mouth and you literally feel like the Sahara Desert and you think, what the hell have I done? And it's never a nice feeling, that is it? Now, again, I'm not talking about a lot of you guys are not excessively drinking. It's just be aware of what it is, be aware of what it's doing, and be aware to make your choices. Now, I am a big believer that we don't need to drink every single week. You can have plans and not drink. You can go to the rugby or the football and not have alcohol. You can go to a play or a musical theatre piece or like whatever, like we go to a comedy night, do you know what I mean? And you can do that without having alcohol. You can go to other people's birthday celebrations or a restaurant and you can say, look, I'm just going to put it out there. If anyone does question why I'm not drinking, I'm actually on a health and fitness journey right now. I'd really appreciate it if nobody kind of slams me for that because this is my choice. It's my decision. And I've got goals to meet. And I just really appreciate your support in doing so. Or you can take my approach and tell people to fuck off. Fuck off. Like, it's really interesting when we go on holiday with Thomas's family. Thomas's mum's a party animal. She loves it. She loves the high life. I am a very boring individual. I like to be in bed by 10. I don't usually really drink on holiday. It's still not my vibe. I just don't love alcohol anymore. It's not a bit of me any longer. And Thomas's like sister and her wait, what's that? Sister and her boyfriend, they're a lot younger. They're in the generation where they don't really drink. They're not big drinkers. So she's literally like, is no one gonna drink? You're all boring. You're all this, you're all that, and you're all and I'm like, I'm okay with that. We will see you. When you wake up about 11, we'll have already done about 3, 4 hours with our day. Do you know what I mean? We'll have already walked God knows how many miles. We'll have already, like, we're getting those sun loungers. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can get them. Like, it's just horses for courses, but be very mindful. This was another thing I noticed actually the other week when we went for Easter dinner. When I won't like continue saying who and all of this, but the point was I watched somebody with great intent, not deliberately, I just can't help myself, make the Sunday dinner. So make this lovely Easter dinner. And it was like a proper roast dinner with the chicken and the beef and all the trimmings. And when it was then like made, and obviously everybody helped themselves to their portion sizes and whatnot, but then she sat there and she went, "Oh, I just don't fancy it now because I've cooked it. I don't fancy it." And then somebody brought a bottle of wine to the table, but that did happen for her. That like didn't eat the food properly, just picked at it, but definitely had half a bottle of wine. And then a jam roly poly got made, and shock horror, that got eaten as well. And I thought, no, you just don't understand. So what she'd done is she's picking all of the high calorie, low satisfying, zero protein options. And this is somebody that has been on a GLP-1 medication, like whichever one, I don't know which one. Um, let's just call it a Zampic or whatever. But and I sat and thought, like you have learned nothing. And this is the point because you could literally watch the behavioral and go, so you're having the alcohol, empty calories, liquid calories, completely empty. If anything, again, doing more harm than good. And then having the jam roly poly and custard, but not wanting the highly nutritious Sunday roast dinner. And I was thinking, oh, this is crazy. And then like, what happens when these people say, and you might have even, some of you guys been there before as well, where you've gone, I've hardly eaten anything today. God, I never eat. I don't know how I've put on weight because I don't eat anything. And I'm thinking, she thinks she's eaten less than us. And technically she has, but I can guarantee we were full. We were full after our Sunday dinner. Didn't nobody else, I think, had the wine and the jam roly poly. So we'll have just not eaten again for the rest of the day. She would have done. Could give it an hour because she's got no nutrients in her body's going to go, I'm fucking ravenous. I am starving. And then she's going to go for those options again and just have more and more and more and more. And this is where the biscuits come in. This is where the snacks and all of that. And you think you're not eating, and it's just you're not getting the nutrients inside of your body. And you've got the alcohol fueling some of the difficult decision making. So this is where we have to go. I fucking should have had the Sunday dinner. Do you know what I mean? You're thinking you're having fewer calories, and actually, in the long run, you're not. And like I say, it leaves clues anyway. You can see by where you've ended up, or all of these different things, you can start to go, yeah, I can understand that that might have been who I was, but it's not who I want to be. So that's kind of the alcohol piece. You don't need to drink every single week. You can definitely, I would also say this is where having some accountability from those who are very closely in your circle. If you know there are behavioral habits or things that, like alcohol or snacking, it could be whatever, but if you know it's something you don't want to do, tell people around you. I do not want to drink when we go to the horse races this weekend or whatever. I do not want to do that. Like, I am happy to have a couple of Coke Zeros or a couple of Sprite Lights or whatever we call that. I'm just happy to do that and drink some water. Please help hold me accountable. Don't be offering me things that I do not want, that I do not need. I'd much rather have my calories through my food, and I don't want to have them through the liquid calories. So it's just a consideration. My colleague used to call me call me cheesy chips on a night out. Happy to say he now says you're not having them anymore. But this is it, isn't it? And again, there's nothing wrong with cheesy chips, and this is kind of what I want to say. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just we need to be mindful of the habits that we're attaching, the things that we're doing, the correlations we're making. When in actual fact, we could just make different choices. We could just say, not every weekend. Or you know what? Like a lot of people are very happy to do like dry January. If you really want to lock in for your goals in time for summer, you might want to go, yeah, you know what? I'm taking a month off the booze. Do you know what I mean? I don't need it. It's not adding value to my life. It's not. And I think if you really truly believe that alcohol makes the whole occasion better and everyone else is doing it, therefore you need to do it, and you're not able to stand up against that, I would genuinely try doing it. Because I think if you're in that mindset of going, no, I have to drink, you're really going to like, well, you're probably not doing yourself any favors in the long run. And in all honesty, I would encourage you even harder to give it a go so you can actually start to prove that you don't necessarily need it to have a good time. Like if you're around good people and the atmosphere is great and you're enjoying all of the things and you're not an addict, do you know what I mean? You can have a nice time without it. So caffeine. Right, let's put a one in the chat. Who likes coffee? Who is a bit of a caffeine, not necessarily an addict, but who likes to have coffee throughout the day? I would be a zero in this instance, by the way. Yeah. Ellen, like, one. Right, okay, yeah, this is it. So, interestingly, I don't like coffee. I think it tastes horrible. I can't get on board with it. I have a feeling, and I'm intrigued to see this, whether when you have a baby, that's kind of when the coffee addiction kicks in. And maybe that's why I've got to almost 40 and not really ever drank coffee. And I'm thinking, is that the key to this? Now, interestingly, younger generation, they are now drinking a lot more coffee. This is obviously the Starbucks, the Costas, the corner ones that do everything. They are very much, they're in your faces. They are making you believe that you need it. This is the world of the influencer. Fucking clever as well, even the way they write names on cups and that, like the whole process around coffee is like it's such an intelligent business model when you actually break it all down. So you kind of screwed, like you are a little bit screwed because it is shoved in your face. But a lot of you guys will probably be having slightly more of an instant kind of coffee. So I'm new to coffee since last summer and iced coffee addiction. See, I would be more inclined to have an iced coffee than not. I don't hate it if it's with like a vanilla protein powder and then a shot of coffee in it if I can't taste it. But that to me, if I can't taste it, I can drink it. It defeats the object. Only started for me after a baby. Yeah, it used to make me feel dizzy, but I was desperate at 3 a.m. feeding Alfie, so it began. I'm very intrigued to see this, whether or not that becomes like my lifeblood, and it's just an exhaustion thing where you're in the trenches and then it becomes a bit of a again it becomes a bit of a I mean caffeine is addictive, it has addictive qualities, like that is the point of it, do you know what I mean? So again it's that consideration of going, and you won't take tea away from me, by the way. I fucking love a serious good Yorkshire breakfast tea. You're not feeding me any of the other shit. Anyone here has PG tips, you're the devil. It's awful. I'm sure there are other brands available, but I don't know of them. um but this is too badass. I'm not sure. I still like to survive. Like I have to be able to operate. Do you know what I mean? And that's the buzz of the coffee. It's the peak dip, isn't it? It's the oh my God, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I need to get through this. I've got a project. I need to focus. Right, caffeine. That's also why it can be used as a pre-workout. Some of you guys might well use it as a pre-workout. And I do like pre-workout, for the record. I can't obviously have it at the minute. I'm pregnant. I don't really need that massive whoop. But I mean, I could do with it, to be honest, but I've not allowed it. But this is it. So I would say in this instance, like coffee is not inherently bad, but if you're having 5 coffees in a day, that is a lot of fucking caffeine, right? And it might just not even be the coffee. Like there is caffeine in tea, there is caffeine in things like Coke Zeros and things like that. So if you're having like a multitude of these different things, and like to be honest, Thomas does it. Like Thomas is probably like, I reckon he's probably 4 or 5 coffees a day plus a pre-workout. Plus, do you know what I mean? Like these things are racking up, and you got to be a little bit mindful. Now, my advice is as a pre-workout, it's not inherently a bad thing, like if that helps you, but be very mindful at what time of the day that you're actually drinking your coffee at. If you're having a coffee, sorry, Amanda, I'm just going to mute you a sec. If you're having a coffee at like, I mean, if I had one beyond probably like 1 p.m., I'd be fucked. That'd be me. I'd be bouncing off the walls until about 1 o'clock in the morning. So you know your limits, but try and make sure they're not going beyond an unsensible part of the day where then all you're going to do is going to impact your sleep. You're going to get into a vicious cycle, and because your sleep is impacted, then you need more caffeine, and you're literally just going round in circles. I would also say for every coffee you have a glass of water. Make that a little bit of a rule. It can be a dehydrator. It's actually been proven that it's not, that it's not actually a diuretic, but you just need to be really mindful. And I would still, if I was having a coffee, I would then have a water on my next one, then maybe another coffee and a water. So just be really careful of that. The other thing to be really careful of, and I think this is interesting, this can go either way, is the impact that it can have on your digestive system. So it can, if you have too much coffee, it can everything shoots through. So you can find that it's like, oh, speeds it up a little bit too much. But again, then what's happening? If you end up with the shits, it's not breaking it down in the way the nutrients aren't going to be available to your body because it's just passing it through and it's coming out the other end. But it can also cause like huge digestion issues in terms of giving you a backup. So bless you, Karen. Just see this whoosh. So if you are finding you're having quite a lot of coffee in a day, and I would also say even the decaf versions, it's still not great for you. Do you know what I mean? It's still not like ideal to have that. So then you might just find yourself getting a little bit backed up. Again, try and think about, right, okay, where can I switch out the coffee? Don't just switch out coffee for tea, for the love of God. Try and get water in you. Like, and I do still want to see everybody hitting your 2 liters of water a day as your minimum requirement. So the coffee and everything would have to be on top of that. So be really mindful of that because again, it is going to make you go to the toilet a lot, but I don't want to see coffee over and above your water intake, please. Somebody mentioned the other day whether coffee can give you lots of like headaches and like basically if you stop it, if it like the withdrawals that and yes, it fucking can. Coffee is potent. It is exceptionally strong as a product. Again, it is highly addictive. So it is a little bit like taking away a drug. Do you know what I mean? When you take it away, you are going to feel a little bit lightheaded. You will feel a little bit dizzy. You will feel very, very shit. And especially you've got to think, if you've been, so some of you guys, like when I think was it Michelle where you said, yeah, that when you had a baby, if you think back to how many years you've had a child, some of you guys, that might be like 20 odd years. And then if you're trying to break that coffee habit down and go, right, I'm going cold turkey, Jesus Christ, you're going to know about it. It's going to slap you in the face like a wet fish. Do you know what I mean? And you are going to feel dreadful, usually only for a few days, and then you will start to ease out the other end. So I don't know that I would say that you need to give it up or quit. I don't think that's a realistic solution for most people. I think it's just a case of not relying on it every single time. Like, do you know what I mean? Every single time you go to have a drink. And I think it probably is worse if you work in the office as well. I remember when I worked in the corporate world, we did. There were three of us who didn't drink coffee, and they were like the tea, like the machines that they had. Ugh, no way we drinking tea out of that. So we went in a tea round, and I'd say we probably ended up with like 6 to 8 cups of tea a day. And you know, when you're like, it's quite a lot. So something to be mindful of. Also, not the most productive thing to keep going and getting tea constantly. But yeah, so be mindful of your digestion system. Again, water's really going to help that out. Really making sure that you're getting that fiber in to try and caveat it. But yeah, I mean, how many cups of coffee on average are you guys having a day? Like, what would you say? Own it. By the way, four for Angela. What's everyone else saying? You can put it in the chat if you're not on. I like that peppermint tea as well as a good option. Allow myself one in the morning, peppermint tea. That's absolutely fine. Yorkshire tea is the one, absolutely. 1 to 2, 1, 5 plus tea. This is it. That's where I think when we're in the fours, the fives, that's probably where we're going. Oh, one Costa 3 times a week. Don't do home coffee. One, maybe two, otherwise it's a Lancashire tea. So a lot of you guys actually, and this is not like a full spectrum, by the way. I know some of the women drink a lot of coffee, so I appreciate the honesty for those who are saying it's high, because I know for a fact some of you guys are definitely in the 5 plus range. That's where I think we need to try and get it down to going, right, okay, you know what? Try and maybe drop it down to like below 3 if you're in that sort of category to go, okay, you know what? I can probably do that. And just try and make sure that you're not then switching it out for something else. That's the other thing I would say. If you are trying to bring down the caffeine a little bit, what can happen is like the human mind and body is a very addictive place to be. So it's very easy to become incredibly reliant on things. So if you're very heavily reliant on caffeine and then you take 1 or 2 cups of that away, you might find that you suddenly start pulling towards something else. That's what we want to be really mindful of. It's a bit like smokers then become vapors, and then vapors become coffee addicts, and then coffee become excuse me, if you've got an addictive personality, and you will know about it. Thomas asked if I needed a drink. I was like, no, I'm fine. I'll be fine. Need a drink. My ice has melted a little bit, thank God. But this is it. So just be very, very mindful if you are going to try and bring something down, or like I say, if you think going cold turkey is better, I'd be incredibly mindful, because it is likely to make you want to pivot to something else, and then you might switch one reasonable habit with something terrible that actually this one's better off staying where it is. So again, might be worth speaking to us if you are going to think about doing anything radical like that. Just worth being mindful of. Stick to decaf on pre-workout days. Yeah, this is it. Because again, pre-workout, depend on which ones you purchase potentially. Pre-workout's also exceptionally high in caffeine, so I would never take it correctly. I really like the flavor. I think it tastes banging. And I would just sup it throughout my workout. And it's not, it's like when you see people with a Monster Energy drink in the gym. You're meant to take the pre-workout like 30 minutes before you get to the gym, so it's in your system. people just don't seem to do that these days. It's like holding a can of Monster is like cool. Do you know what I mean? Like in inverted commas, it's not that cool. But yeah, so just be mindful of some of them. And if you are going to go down the pre-workout route, make sure you're conscious of the calories in there as well. Obviously, you can get sugar-free, you can get like significantly low or no calories, but it's just worth being mindful of. Does anybody have any shares or any questions, anything regarding caffeine or alcohol that they think, yeah, you know what, I'm going to bring this up? Like I say, it's a safe space. No judgment here. Oh, getting very uncomfortable in this chair now. I feel it's really weird now. Like my boobs just sit on the bump now. They just sit. And it's like, what is this? Like, it's the weirdest feeling. I can't take more than a half scoop or the side effect. Yeah, it can be crazy. Like, but that's a nice way to do it. Just have a little bit less. But everybody's tolerance to caffeine is very different. It's also going to depend on what time of the day you're having it as well. In the morning, you might feel like very alert very quickly after you have it, purely because your starting point was lower than in the day when you're a little bit more alive and awake. You might not notice it as much. Right, does anyone have anything else that they want to ask or go through or form checks or anything that you think, yeah, I'd just like a bit of input on XYZ, whatever. This is your time to shine, ladies. Anything you want. You do a weird, uncomfortable dance. No, I can take that as a no then. I mean, you've got the group chats, you know where we are if you need us. We'll be having a look on Wednesday. See how everybody's getting on with everything. And then, yeah, let's have a good week. I honestly think everything's out of the way now. Easter's out of the way, half terms are out of the way. I think for me, I'd be going all in, smashing it now, absolutely killing it, and probably trying to aim to do so. Kat told me there are more bank holidays in May, not bank holidays, like a week off or whatever the kids get. Do you know what I mean? I'd be pushing it now until those points and going, right, you know what? Even the May bank holidays, like 2, 3 weeks away, fucking smash it, crush it, go all in and earn the right to have a really nice kind of bank holiday time and enjoy yourself. So yeah, that would be my plan if it were me. Crush it. And yeah, let's fucking go, guys. So have a lovely week, and I will see you on the flip side. Bye.